Thanks, Jim. A couple of things I'd highlight. First is I think most know or are aware there are some major muscle movements, if you will, happening across the Intel community. The IC, through the ICCIO, is implementing what they call the IT efficiencies, where they're taking a lot of major actions to converge and collapse the architectures and how we do business on the IC side of the house. The department, DoD, is also beginning to go to do the analysis in terms of how does the DoD begin to implement a similar approach where we converge and collapse networks and get away from having lots of architectures to single architectures or a single architecture. At the same time, we're also engaged in a fairly lengthy analysis of what are we going to do in terms of a future mission network. So this draws from the analysis or the lessons learned from Afghanistan, where we have a coalition of, I think today it's 49 nations operating in a coalition environment on a coalition network, and that's how we're doing business. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, how are we going to do that in the future for the next contingency that involves coalition operations? So from my perspective as the defense intel guy, the thing I'm worried about most is as you've got these three major efforts going on, where I have to live in all three of those worlds, how do we align those three efforts at the lowest layers of the stack so that we don't break defense intel interoperability with all those communities? So that's a very, very high priority for me this year is to work the interaction between those three distinct efforts. And I'm getting a lot of support on that, both from the IC and the DoD side. They're very interested in helping to make those connections so that we do exactly that. Another priority for this year, and this will harken back to some of the comments you heard about attributes and access control. We have to do that. We have to improve our ability to control access to information, but there's also a risk there. The more fine you make those access controls, the greater the danger is that you're going to break access to information by those who need it. So we're very, very engaged with all the folks working that as we define how we're going to do attribute-based access control or role-based access control, and what are those attributes, and what are the policy engines, if you will, that make those decisions, so that as we improve information safeguarding, we don't break information sharing, and that we're able to flex on the fly. If you've got a sailor en route to the Med on a carrier battle group, he left port, he's set up for access to whatever information he needs based on the mission that they set out to perform. Halfway there, they get diverted due to a crisis someplace, and all of a sudden they're going someplace else, and they need an entirely different set of intelligence data. So the ability to adjust those policy-based decisions on the fly is very, very important to us.